We're on chapter 11. It's not the best content, but it's something. So we're going to talk about a few. We're not going to cover everything in this chapter. We're going to talk about a few things on here. I'm going to tell you up front, I'm not a wireless expert, but I should know enough and be able to tell you enough to at least get you started. Okay, I do kind of like what they say here at the bottom. Wireless technologies are part of daily life. How many of you have stuff that work wirelessly at your house? Is there anybody who doesn't have anything? You don't have anything at all? Nothing? Nothing at all? Wow. Like nothing. Not a Z-Wave light bulb or a...
You don't have like a blue
cell phone? Wow. Yes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I have everything from a sprinkler system. I can sit here and... Yeah. I haven't showed you guys that, have I?
Yeah.
Oh, I showed you the water lawn? Okay. Okay, that's what I showed you last time, yeah. That's right, when we did the embedded thing. But, I was looking. I have 36 Z-Wave light bulbs. That's a lot. But hey, it's nice. I can turn my mother-in-law's light bulbs off now. But, now that I can do that, she always seems to find one that's not controllable yet. Like she leaves the laundry light. I'm like, darn it, I didn't put a smart light bulb in there yet. Baby monitors have been a lot of controversy about baby monitors over the years, especially people breaking into them and doing all kinds of stuff. GPSs, we all know what those are, keyless entry. I am looking for a new remotely controllable door lock, but I need something my mother-in-law can work. She can't remember numbers. Yeah, but she also has an issue with fingerprints. She forgets which finger, and she sits there and... See, I looked at Kivo once, but see, I'm thinking if I give her... See, I could give her something that works with her phone. What if she didn't have her phone? So I'm worried that she'll walk out the front door, and it'll... Because my door automatically locks after 30 seconds. Then she's outside and locked out and can't get back in. So I just haven't found anything yet. But I tell you, garage door openers are amazing. I can open them with my phone, which is kind of handy. Virginia loves that. She'll track where I am with, find my iPhone, and then she'll open the garage door for me when I pull up, and But there's a lot of stuff. Bluetooth speakers. There's lots of technologies out there, and I see more and more every day. I saw one today.
You let your wife have access to Find My iPhone?
Why not? I'm not trying to hide from her.
My friend.
And when I go somewhere I don't want her to know, like when I'm buying her something, I just turn my phone off. I also have to turn my watch out because she can track that.
So is it Find My iPhone or Find My Friend?
Find My iPhone. I don't have Find My Friends. I don't use that. I could.
On there.
It is, but Find My iPhone's already built in.
And so is that.
Yeah, but you got to turn that on. So Find My iPhone's better.
I'll just say yes, share, or not share.
Yes. What was I just going to tell you? What was I going to tell you? Well, I'll think of it in a minute. Oh, lost cause. But no, so if anyone has any good ideas about door... Oh, I know what it was. I have solar panels on my house, 41 of them. Someone made a self-tracking solar panel mount. It was amazing. It literally it tracks by this little teeny LED that you just stick up. He stuck his inside of a peanut butter jar. And it literally controls an actuator to make a solar panel move.
We did that actually. I thought it would be really hard to do that. All you need are 2 light sensors, and you just put them at an angle, and then whichever light. What you do is you move it in the direction until both light sensors reach the same value.
Well, this guy has one. It's a little teeny one you can buy, but I want to see. I love the fact that my solar panels are on my roof because they block the sun from the roof, keeps the attic cool. But if you know anything about solar, you want the sun directly pointing at the panel. And with the angle of my panels on my southerly facing roof, the sun actually is at the best angle in winter. In the summer, it's too high. So I have more daylight in the summer for longer periods, but it's not at the correct angle. The wintertime, I have a better angle, but shorter period of time. But if I could move the panels, that would be amazing. So one of our faculty members is really good with a welder. So once I come up with a plan, it'll help me weld the frame together. I think it'd be a cool project.
All you really need is one actuator at the top, and then
One at the side.
you need 2 light sensors, one at the top of the panels, one at the bottom of the panels.
Right.
And have them connected to the rig, so
Right.
that as you go up and down, it will maximize. What it'll do is it'll keep moving it until both sensors, the one at the top and the one at the
Are
bottom,
even?
have the same value.
But what? Oh, the same value. So that way, if it is even going the opposite direction, it'll still have the same value.
For each axis, you need 2 sensors.
Okay,
So you
yeah.
need one on the top, one on the bottom to do lattice,
Yeah.
and then
But-
one on each side to do longitude.
But I think that's going to be a plan I'm going to work on soon. If when I decide to do it, I might let y'all know if y'all want to get involved and make something. I love
What
making
about
something.
like
Yes. What now?
what type of, try to have on low riders and stuff, where because they,
Oh yeah, they can tilt it and everything. Yes, yes.
something like that, you put something
Yeah.
on each, just like there, put
Yeah.
one on each corner.
That thing would be cool. I just hate the fact that I'm losing some of the capability of my panels. And even taking them off the roof, yeah, now I'm losing the, blocking the sun, but I'm gaining a magnitude of, being angled correctly. Because, once it's past like 3 o'clock, my panels are at this angle, the sun's way over here, so I'm getting nothing. If I could turn them this way, I'd still be getting some.
Yeah, you just need an actuator to push a cam along the base, and as it pushes it.
This guy did it, he mounted it on a bicycle wheel, so it just turned the wheel a little bit to tilt the panel. I mean, cool idea. But I'll come up with a plan of what I want to do. And if y'all want to get involved,
Actuators on low riders, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You could even put a tilt switch on a sunflower, like a living sunflower,
oh,
and then as the sunflower tracks the sun.
that's too much work. Okay. Because then I'd have
That's
to.
hilarious.
He's talking about putting a tracker on a sunflower, but the problem with that is then I'd have to grow a sunflower. And have you seen me grow stuff lately? No, you have not. So, I can't grow grass at the moment, so yeah, that's the problem. Okay, let's continue. We're never going to get out of here. Few basic components. We have network interface cards. Nowadays, they're pretty much built into everything. Did you see the news article where Apple and the 5G people, what's their name? Not Intel. Apple and whoever the heck the maker is of the 5G.
Broadcom.
Qualcomm. Yeah, Qualcomm. Apple and Qualcomm come up with a plan or an agreement. The moment they did that, Intel has now dropped out of the 5G market because they were planning on making stuff. So, kind of,
With Broadcom.
yeah. So but we'll be seeing more stuff. Now it's going to be hopefully 5G, not the 5GE, but either way. Okay, so we have wireless network cards, which are pretty much in everything. We have access points, we have different protocols, and then we obviously have the electrical spectrum. Access points, like in this building here, there's 8 of them in this building. I have 3 of them at my house. Depending on the location, you might have more or less. They basically connect the wireless device to the wired network. Okay. And you can also configure your channels and so on and so forth, all from there. Here's an example of VI Tumbler, where you can actually see some of the channels. It's not a great picture. I think I put a better picture here in a minute. But you can, depending on your system, like if you have a Wi-Fi analyzer on an Android device, it's excellent. It's very graphical, showing you the channels and everything. MacBooks have it built in. There's even Windows apps you can do. I just don't have wireless on here, so I didn't install it. But you can see the channels, like in this case, all these over here on the right are on channel 11. All right, SSID. Okay, the name of your LAN, basically. And a lot of people think by hiding the SSID, you're really protecting yourself. No, you're not. You can still see it. Even though it's hidden, you can see it. I do find it's funny that a lot of times people won't change the default names. What do you think? What would a good SSID be?
Thank you.
Yeah, NICR. Now we know what the device is. It'd be better if you just call it NICR and it was actually on a Linksys device. At least not it's the same. Mine, I have one called FBI van. That's a good one.
All my
I use
neighbors,
that a lot.
their 2 Wi-Fi networks are FBI1 and FBI2.
There you go. There you go. So yeah.
Wouldn't that make some people want to try to break into it?
Yeah, exactly. So they're configurable.
It's just
Okay.
funny.
says must configure the SSID before connecting. You know, they usually broadcast it. They can be hidden, like I mentioned. Here's an example of a couple different ones on a Windows 10 device where you can see it. Okay, vendors set default values, which you can see in a second, but normally you can change all that. Here's all our default values. So if you see any of these, you know, people did not reconfigure theirs, and it's not that big a deal if you don't change it. I just don't like leaving it alone. You know, I like to change things. So, okay. All right. You can configure them based on your OS. You know, and they talk about DDWRT here, which they show us a picture of right here, which is an add-on or an upgraded firmware for Linksys devices. Does it work for anything beyond Linksys? Anybody know? I've never seen anything.
Yeah, it can. They do have a list of what they will and will not run in different versions.
Okay. But I know Linksys is the most popular, and that's what it looks like right there. Okay, and there's a couple different screens of it. It's really no difference. What they're doing is they're giving you more capability. Like Linksys, for instance, might block some things. Well, this gives you access to it. Okay.
It's the difference between a BIOS on a Dell or commodity and a retail motherboard.
Yeah, because a lot of different capability. It turns on. So, I mean, it's awesome. The one we got in the Cyber Lounge is actually running DDWRT. And actually, the one in my office is running DDWRT as well. So, I do know you can screw them up, and they're dead at that point, pretty much. You brick them. Okay. Network cards, they're pretty much built in, but you need a wireless card to connect to a wireless network. Makes sense. You can get external ones as well. Okay. Not hard to do. Let's talk about some of the standards. We got IEEE, Institute of Electronics and Electrical Engineers. They specify standards, and they come up with 802.11, which in this case is wireless. And I had a student a long time ago. We were trying to figure out a way to remember all these standards, and they came up with 802.11, and you think of it like the antennas on your access point. That's how you can remember that. There's a bunch of different capabilities inside there. Now, inside there, what they talk about how collisions do not occur. Well, you probably don't realize if on your regular network, there's lots of collisions that happen all the time. And what happens, your network restarts at a random interval, but still very quickly, to block them. But that's called CSMA-CD, Carrier Sense Media Access with Collision Detection. That's what a wired Ethernet network uses. If it detects a collision, everybody stops, and then they start again, okay? Wireless uses CSMA-CA, Carrier Sense Media Access with Collision Avoidance. What that does is sends out a signal, hey, I'm Ken over here, and I want to use the network, everybody be quiet. And then I send my packet. Again, it does it very fast, but still that's why you don't get, that's part of the reason you don't get the true throughput. If you see a 54G, G at 54 megabits, you're not going to get 54. You're really only going to get half of that because for every time someone transmits, they're really transmitting another packet to say, hey, hold on for a minute, I'm going to be using it. That's pretty much the down and dirty of what CSMA-CA does, okay? They talk about, how wireless has stations, and we're going to talk about the basic service set, which is kind of like the configuration of your network, and you'll see some pictures of it here in a second. With a wireless network, you always need at least one access point, maybe more, okay? They talk about ad hoc and infrastructure. We're actually going to talk more about that here in a second. But it's just different ways of configuring them and connecting them, okay? But they talk about you need a distributed system if you have two different sections, and here's our picture here. So you can have two different BSSs, the top one and the bottom one, two different access points that need some sort of connectivity. They talk about here the distribution system between them, okay? Rose State was looking to put the newest wireless standard of cameras in our student center. The problem was if we went to that, we would actually have to upgrade every single access point on the entire campus. So they said, nope, we're good. We don't need to do that. If you notice, most places are still running B or G. A lot of them are up to N. Very few are running AC at this point. B and G are still the most popular. Okay.
Most home routers use AC by now.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
but businesses are kind of.
Right. I mean, actually, what do we? Does anyone know what we're running here?
I know it has both 5 and 2.4,
That's about okay. I haven't even looked. Okay.
but I can't tell you on that.
So 802 defines the frequency. We run between 2.4 and 2.48. Okay. There's 11 channels, and if you can't have the channels next to each other, and you're going to see a picture of it here in a second. Okay. Okay. The architecture with amplitude, which is the sound wave height, the frequency, how often it repeats, the completion of the pattern, then the hertz, and then the bands of different technologies. And they show you some of the different things here and what they have, the frequencies. Again, I'm not an expert on any of this. You know, there's UHF and VHF and HF and all that. Broadcast TV brings back memories. Infrared. Now, infrared uses, obviously, infrared technology, just like this remote control sitting here. It uses an infrared light, which we can't see. Line of sight, can bounce off stuff, but can't penetrate it. Okay. Microwave radio frequencies are like our cordless phones, our garage door openers, and stuff like that. Okay. Then we have spread spectrum. Okay. We have modulation, which is the way it's broken up. The signal is broken and placed on the medium. ATM was probably one of the most popular ones that originally came out with that. Okay, this is, it can use across, they spread the data off many frequencies. Use frequency hopping, direct spectrum. There's just lots of different ways they do it to get the frequency out there. And again, I'm not an expert in any of that. Okay. B works at 2.4, 11 megabits per second. I think your actual throughput is probably closer to between 2 and 5. Now you have 3 channels, 1, 6, and 11. Okay. Normally, if you have 2 access points next to each other, you do not want them on the same channel. So that's what I would do. Like at my house, I would actually check what channel each one is on and make sure they're on alternating channels, because they have to be on different channels to work correctly. Then they first came out with WEP, okay? Wired equivalency. A lot of people think it's wired encryption protocol. It's not. It's wired equivalency because the plan was to make wireless equivalent to wired, hence the name wireless equivalency. Okay? Yes, equivalency. Okay. Then we came out with A, that's 5G, 54 megabits. G came out at the same time, but at the 2.4 range, again, 54 megabits per second. Then we came out with I. I don't know anyone who used I. Or E, but N was popular.
Never heard of those two.
Yeah. N works on the same frequencies as G, multiple antennas. Then AC, that's faster up to a gigabit. AD is Y gig up to 7 gigabits per second. It makes you wonder.
I've never seen AD.
Why? What do you? It's brand new.
Yeah, it's brand and the 60 gigahertz band. I don't even know a Wi-Fi card.
Yeah, we sit there and we're like, why do we need that? But then if you think about it, what if you're talking about the backbone? Maybe the backbone needs something that fast, to do it. But if you got something off the main lines, and so it'll help to go faster. But I mean, I can't even remember the last time my phone or my laptop or anything I saw buffering. Does Netflix even buffer anymore at all? I've never seen Netflix buffer in ever. Well, as long as you have fast internet.
1 megabit connection.
Well, I guess the one, yeah. Okay, I have a 300 meg connection at home. I'm in Cox, yeah. So I don't have Gigablast though. The Gigablast is not available.
Probably not in your area
It
yet.
still works.
Yeah, it's
I'll say that. You can still get it.
Yeah.
It's really good Netflix even on 1 megabit.
And when they do have the availability, Gigablast is the same price as the 300 meg.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yes, that's why I want them to get it. See, I got internet about 5 years ago. It's funny because I moved in my neighborhood right in 2000, and naturally the realtors, oh yeah, we're getting Cox out here any day. Then as soon as they finished the addition, well, they finished it. They put it out there. Then they built the one next to it. Well, as soon as that one's done, we're getting Cox. Still didn't put it in. So I kept calling Cox every year or so, and they send an engineer out and say, nope, not available in your area. Then y'all know William upstairs works in a lab. Well, we used to have a guy up there, Grant Cadis, worked in that lab. Grant Cadis lived over near Anderson and 15th Street. And they had Cox on one side of the street, but not the other. And he complained to them, like, nah, we're not doing it. So he contacted our state rep, Gary Bands. Said, hey, Gary, can you look into this? Nearly instantly, he has Cox in his neighborhood. He told me. So I sent an email to Gary Bands. Literally the next day I get home from teaching, there's a handwritten note on my door from Gary Bands saying, came by to talk to you. I'm sorry, I got to head to DC for a while, but I promise I'll look into this as soon as I get back. I'll be doing that week of Thanksgiving. They put my entire neighborhood, we have Cox now. So I'm like, wow. So trust me, they listen when you message those guys. Gary Bands is no longer our state rep, but still I was totally impressed that he did it. And what now? Yeah, exactly. Came to my house, but I was worried because I got a nice yard with sod everywhere. They tore up the entire neighborhood, put cable everywhere when they couldn't even tell. They literally put it through my entire yard with big boxes, but I don't know how they cut it out and put the sod back in. That when they were done, I'm like, where? They did it perfect, and they even dug it all the way up to my house, and I'm like, dude. So naturally, I called them. I was the very first one. They're not available. Is it? Oh, you're right. It is. It's just available today. I'm like, yes, it is.
That's right. I saw them putting in the wires.
So it was a bit. But years ago, I tried to find the video, but I don't know what it is now. Microsoft, we're talking way back in Windows 95 time, talked about the Office of the future was all going to be wireless. I don't know if anyone saw that video. They show where a guy walks in, the lights turn on, and there's no cables, and everything's wireless. Aren't we there now? I mean, even in this classroom, the lights turn on automatically.
Almost everything with power is wireless.
Right, and we can get wireless power, which, that's been available for years, but I'm really surprised they haven't expanded the technology to the point where it's not good enough yet.
And like really close proximity.
I like wireless chargers for my phone work, but I have an induction cooktop at home. I know? For the phones, but I want one.
Like the car.
Oh, yes, I've seen those. You can drive on. But I want one where I just mount my TV on the wall, and it just works.
And I can't get wireless power for my desktop.
But,
it's what I need.
Does anyone have an induction cooktop here? Induction cooktop?
Not yet.
Okay.
Induction, but I can't hear what.
Okay, induction cooktop.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh, I love them.
I don't like it. It gets the surface of it gets nasty and I have to scrub at it.
Oh, mine doesn't at all. Not even a little bit. But induction works by magnetism. It's basically a magnet. And if I'm cooking at low temperatures, I can put a towel down and cook on top of a towel, and the heat goes through it to the magnet. But you can boil water about 90 seconds. I don't know what's wrong with yours, but mine stays super clean. It's all glass, and Virginia absolutely loves that thing. So we had one that was half and half induction, half regular, then got rid of that. Now we got full induction. So we've never had one. They're kind of cool. Okay, 802.15 is 16. 15 is for our personal area network. I couldn't think of a good example of that. The 16 is for our metropolitan area networks. We might see that in the near future. And then we have our broadband network access. One thing I did notice years ago, I was down in Austin. You ever been to Austin in the last few years? The entire city of Austin has Wi-Fi, and it's free. So it's funny because Rose State, I went down there for a conference at Rose State, and they told they would pay for my internet access. Then I get to the hotel, and they're like going to charge me for internet access. I'm like, but wait a minute, I'm in Austin. Isn't internet free? Well, it is, but not inside the hotel. I'm like, so you put your laptop near the window.
Yeah,
So it worked fine.
They built the hotel as a fair day.
Yeah, they put a fair day case, you had to buy it. But a lot of different standards there, and they talk about over here the different frequencies, the maximum rate, the modulation. So that I have AC now, which is up to a gigabit. And it was funny because I have the 300 meg service at home, and I was complaining to Cox because my connection I was not getting 300 meg. Well, it turns out I didn't realize it, but I had a small switch plugged in. It was 100 megabit, and I was going through that. I'm like, oh, my bad. Once I got, so I had a gigabit switch, but I was doing some.
And those
Forget what I was
data rates
doing.
aren't even guaranteed.
Yes. But once I removed that, boom, my speed went way up. So there's always that slowest part on your network. Okay, now let's talk about authentication. Okay, we really need to know who the heck is on our network. Okay, kind of a big deal. Even here on wireless, you have to log in initially. Okay, they talk about different ways of doing that, and here they talk about point-to-point, you know, PPP. Does anyone remember what we had before PPP? No, before PPP. Slip. Everyone remember Slip? Serial Line Interface Protocol? Back in Windows 3.1 days, when the internet was just starting, TCP/IP did not come with your computers. You know, you had NetBEUI and IPX, SPX, and AppleTalk and all this stuff, but it didn't come with TCP/IP. And TCP/IP was probably on 10 floppy disks. And you installed TCP/IP, and you had to answer about 100 questions, and you had a choice, Slip or PPP. Slip is what most people were using back then. That's where basically I would have my own dedicated, you know, connection, and it was really a pain in the butt. But nowadays, it's just there. So I'm still amazed me on how easy it is to do now. We got Slip, we got EAP, which is mainly for security, SSL, VPN type stuff. Then we got WEP, which hopefully no one's using WEP. They do mention here how using WEP with a VPN is acceptable, but I can't picture that. I still don't know why you would do that. Okay? Right. And then WPA, then WPS. Let's talk about those. And they talk about many ISPs use PPP for dial-up or DSL cut. Anyone have DSL here? DSL is still available. Is that what you connect with? That's what we had in my neighborhood for the longest time before Cox. Thinking about getting. I had one that pointed to downtown.
Yeah.
I actually worked really well. Yeah. I was very happy with it. What's the name of the company that does that? Atlink Wi-Fi? That's the one, yeah. Yes. And it's actually really good.
It's a lot like a cell tower.
Right, and as long as you can see, like, you know, the Bank One, well, it's probably not the Bank One tower anymore. As long as you can see downtown Oak City from your house, which, believe it or not, you probably can. But Atlink also, I-40 Choctaw Road, right, there's a tower there. They have towers all over now. As long as you're near there, you can get decent speeds. What now? Not bad. It was $50, $60 a month.
The expensive part's good enough for that work.
Actually, they did mine. They just put it on my roof for me. This
I
is.
think I would have to get it. Like,
You might need a tower. They just put a little antenna on my roof, pointed it right at the tower, and was done. So, but I can see the tower from my house. So, yeah. Oh yeah, but PPP can be used to authenticate users. We'll talk more about that. EAP's enhancement over that. They start talking about X509. We talk about in many classes, but that's our certificates. You need certificate of authority, and then they show you a picture over here. This is what we all connect to when we use the internet nowadays. Okay. And they talk about EAP with TLS. That's probably the most popular one out there. But, you know, they have, Microsoft has their own version. Microsoft has always had their own version. But EAP with TLS is, I think, the most popular at the moment. Okay. That's how that works. You know, you connect and authenticate through the radio server. Radio stands for, anybody? Remote Access Dial-In User Service. Okay. It's not always dial-in. It can also be wireless. It can also be, you know, DP or ISDN. It can be lots of different things.
I just didn't allow in that security mode set up a radio server.
Yes, there you go. Exactly, you did. Okay. Okay. WEP gave us encryption finally. But you know, what's it take? Less than 5 seconds now to break WEP. Okay, they're saying you can still use it along with using with a VPN, but I still don't recommend it. I don't know any devices now that even default to WEP anymore, because they're all WPA2 and above.
I saw a Wi-Fi network downtown that was using web.
Still?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a default name too.
Oh, great. Nice. Okay. TKIP is what normally with it. It's the, you know, temporal key. Basically, it's a shared key system where you have to configure the key. But, you know, they go into it. We're not going to go too much into that. Wi-Fi protected setup, kind of a nice feature. It allows you to push a button on your router and automatically configure devices, which is a nice feature. That way you don't have to share passwords with people. But, you know, I like the way, I don't know how Android does it, but like iPhone, if I'm connected to a Wi-Fi and Ken's over there, I can literally, as long as we're close enough, I can share the password with him just by click sharing and it automatically gets it. So really nice feature. It's kind of along the same lines, okay? There was a flaw in 2011 with WPS. It says you can gain access to the network remotely without knowing the password, okay? War driving. Say war driving is not illegal. That's driving around and looking for a signal. I remember years ago, my son was at a school in Phoenix. He didn't have Wi-Fi, so we literally drove around until we found a Wi-Fi at a laundromat. We're using that Wi-Fi for a while. Not illegal, but once you access the network, it technically is at that point. Okay, why flying is the same thing, but while you're flying, makes sense. Okay, so they mentioned drones in here somewhere. Yeah, there's drones. Yeah, so you can use the same tools with the drone and fly around and do stuff like that. Okay, how it works? You need a laptop, you need a wireless network card, some sort of antenna. You can make your own antennas or get like a Camtana, and you can actually, they can go a very long distance. They'll tell you the SSID, the type of security, the signal strength, and then you can access it from there. VI Tumbler is a tool you can use. It's freeware. It's for Windows. Again, I didn't install it because I don't have wireless here, but you can play with some of these tools. It'll show you GPS of all your connections. They have a couple pictures here. They're kind of, actually, I replaced this one with a color one. You can tell what to search, and it'll tell you where they're located. And I could not find a good picture of a table showing the results, but they are out there. They can get SSID, MAC, manufacturer, and so on and so forth. Okay, they can detect them up to 350 feet away, better with better antennas. Okay, okay, I did find this one. It's a little bit better. This is, you can see the different channels, and if you look at the channels over here, they're on 6 and 11 and 13 and 1 and you know, so just lots of different information you can get using a tool like that. Kismet, kind of the same thing. Runs on BSD, Linux, Mac, so on and so forth. Does pretty much the same thing. That's what it looks like there. The interface does not look as nice, but it still does it. I did not put a picture of Wi-Fi Analyzer in here. They have an Android device. You can get it. It actually works very well. Okay. Not available on iOS, though, which sucks. Okay. Hacking them, there's really no difference between a wires or wireless. Once you know, you can port scanning, use different tools. It's the same type of network. Okay, and you still need the laptop and the antennas and your sniffer and then either AirCrack or whatever you're going to use, or Wi-Fi Pineapple to get into it. Okay, AirCrack is probably the most popular. Replaced AirSnort, and it's free. You can use it to break wireless. Okay. There are just some of the pictures of them. It says, consider using anti-war driving software. Use honeypots. Use fake access points. Use, you know, better passwords. All kinds. You can actually paint your walls. I tell you, I got the double pane argon fill low E windows. Wow, those things really cut down on like cell. The moment I got my new windows in, my cell signal in my house is gone. I have none. Thank God there's Wi-Fi calling with AT&T, or else I wouldn't have any cell signal. You can also get special paint. You can also get window coverings. Like the windows in the faculty lounge have a metallic coating on them, which acts like a Faraday cage. Okay. Use EAP. Use WPA2, okay, if you can. Okay. It says assign static addresses. That becomes a problem. Okay. What they're talking about is rather than using DHCP, give everybody a static address, but that's a lot of work. I've done that before, and then you end up getting duplicate IP addresses, and then you're sitting there like, why won't, you know, my problem is I'll set a time limit on the wireless. Like I'll tell on Bethany's account, she can't use the wireless until past 8 p.m. But then I'll be on her phone at 9 o'clock. And what the heck? Why won't it connect? Oh, not bad. I got the wireless disabled at 8 o'clock. So, okay, disable WPS unless you need it. Okay. Rename or disable broadcast, even though that really doesn't help. Rename them from the default, and that's pretty much all of this chapter. Okay, just real basic stuff about wireless. Okay, Any questions on anything? You know what we need to do real quick? We need to see who's actually here today. All right, if you're here, speak up. If you're not here, if I don't hear your voice, you're not getting credit. Christopher, I see him. Marina's never been here. Jacob, are you around? How about Zach?
Yeah, I'm here.
How about Jared? All right, Summer's here. Caleb.
Here.
Jonathan. Okay, Marcus. John.
Here.
Christopher.
Here.
Justin.
Here.
Quinn, I know is here. Nathaniel. Greg, I heard Greg a whole
Yeah, I'm
bunch.
here.
Leslie. Kimson.
I'm here.
Williams here. Vincent. And Kenneth. Wow, it seems like a lot more of you around at this time of day. So, all right, well, I appreciate y'all, and we will do this again next week, same time next week.
I'm here.
Oh, there's a chat question. Oh, they're here. Marcus, I didn't hear your voice.